Yeah.
I don't think so. It was just a week now.
Well, we missed a week. This is like 2 weeks of being away,
Mm,
just being sick.
yeah.
So there was the three things that I wanted to kind of talk about today, and it was well, I'll kind of just start talking, then you can chime in whenever.
Do you want to like move it up? Is yours sitting like this?
No, it's comfortable. Um, the last 2 weeks ish, we've been sick,
Mm-hmm.
taking turns, right?
Yeah.
It was like a much needed rest that our body was kind of trying to give us, but I was because I know our moms watch, and
Mm?
I
Oh.
know that our moms watch. So just wanted to like state the importance of family and how much it takes a community to raise kids,
Yeah.
and then the importance of having family. Like I know we know the Bible. We on this podcast we talk a lot about marriage and once you marry, once a man finds a wife, he finds what is good and finds favor in the Lord, and he is to depart from his family.
Mm.
But it doesn't mean that you don't need family going forward.
Yeah. No, for
And
sure.
just like the importance of still having that connection with our extended family, because now you're my immediate family. So like our parents, and just being able to have that support system to just like, because if it wasn't for the help that we got, especially with your mom, like it would have made it so much more difficult while we were both in bed for, we took turns,
Yeah.
but, and the importance of just like the family in the sense of us, right? Like
Yeah.
having that support system, that that's a huge reason why marriage is so important, just because when sickness does come, and it's inevitable, your body's not gonna, I mean, some have stronger immune systems than other people, but for when it does come, having the ability to have that other person there to help you, take care of you, to take care of your responsibilities, and then have family on top of that to fill in roles that are missing. We already feel guilty as parents when we are sick.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good that guilt is going to happen even when we are sick. Like, "Oh, I'm not doing it enough." Of course you're not doing enough. You're laying in bed. But it's important for us to be able to like to rest, for our bodies to recover. So
Yeah.
just the importance of family, and just wanted to say thank you to mom because I know you're watching. Thank you to Suama because I know you're watching. Our biggest
Yes.
fans.
Thank you.
Um, and then so I'll go maybe consistency last. This, and then the second thing was I had this like analogy play in my mind because after you were done being sick, you
Mm-hmm.
changed the sheets in our
Mm-hmm.
bed, and then I got sick, and then you changed the sheets on the bed again. And I know you're supposed to be changing the sheets
I
pretty,
changed them and I sanitized
and you
everything.
sanitized
Mattress, everything.
like you,
I mean, we do change them every week,
yeah,
but
and like most time like people might rock the same pajamas for like a week straight or something
mm-hmm.
like that, right? But when you're sick, change them out every day.
Mm-hmm.
Like clean those things out.
Yeah.
You don't want to be putting on something that when you're sick, you're just gonna take a shower, get clean, and then put on your sick clothes again.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's comfortable, which a lot of times it is,
Mm-hmm.
right? We have that one special pair that's comfortable. But it's like that the analogy of that being uh uh
Is that why you're stopping because of Bell?
I thought it was
Sorry.
Nehemiah coming. Yeah. But that's like a good analogy for how the Christian life is supposed to be, where we're sick in our sin and we're going through life, and God reaches us. We allow him to come into our life, and we're transformed. Yet once that initial sickness is over, all of a sudden we're back into wearing our old clothes again. We're back
Mm.
to sleeping in the same bed with the same sheets. Like that analogy of like when you're walking that new walk with Christ, it's so important to wash the old and get rid of it and not put
Mm-hmm.
it back on, because you're just bringing back that same sickness that you might have had before.
Yeah.
So just allowing us to be like cleansed and remediated
Mm.
from the sickness. You know, it may not be a physical, but it's a spiritual sickness that we might have. And so when we're cleansed, when we're especially, with outward expression of a baptism, it's it's a way to show that like I am cleaned, I am cleansed with the Spirit. And so when we walk, we need to get rid of those things. We need to get rid of those relationships.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be close, but it's relationships. It may be things that you are, um, it could be a job.
I mean, it
It
could
could
be
be
a lot of things. Could
what you're
be
listening to,
what
music,
food
food,
that you eat. Because if a food,
things that you watch.
if you're eating something that's not causing your body to stay healthy, I mean, God created our body to be a temple, right?
Yeah,
So we have to take care of our body. So if we're not letting those things go, that can be a sin too. It can be something that makes our temple unclean,
mm-hmm.
and therefore affect everything, affect our minds, affect our ability to do things.
Right.
So yeah, it's getting cleansed in many different ways, but it's a like you're saying, it's a everyday kind of cleanse that you have to really be mindful of.
Yeah,
Eventually, some of those things become more like second nature, but
takes a while.
takes a
I can.
while. But even when you are at that point, there's still things you have to fight with every day, because at the end of the day, we're still human. We're still in the flesh.
Well, that brings me to the third thing, which is Luke 9:23. Then he said to them all, when he's talking to his disciples, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross daily and follow me." And that ties into consistency,
Mm.
because the consistency, I'm still sick a little bit. the unsexiness of, or like, what is your secret to anything really? What is your secret to marriage? What is your secret to business? What is your secret to finances? What is your secret to whatever it may be? Fill in the blank.
Mhm.
It's the unsexy term, consistency, because every day we got to pick up our cross. We got to deny ourselves and pick up our cross every day,
Mm-hmm.
because every day is new. Every day has its own battles. Every day has its own challenges, and every day we're fighting ourselves to take control again. We're trying to fight ourselves to put on those old sick clothes to be able to get comfortable with, get back to being comfortable. Because when we're denying ourselves, when we're striving to be better versions of ourselves in personal growth and spiritual growth in our relationship, it's uncomfortable. And so we're
Yeah.
having to stretch ourselves to be able to put ourselves in a position of wanting to be better. But it's the consistency of doing it every day, where we wake up, put God first, and let him lead us in each day. But that day may not bring, a bunch of victories.
Mm-hmm.
So the next day you do it again, and then the next day and the next day. And like, you're talking 365 days you've done it in a row. That's consistency. And you
It's
might only have seen a little change.
but it's funny too, because Pastor Bernard was talking about this a little bit today, with being consistent with your faithfulness with God, because a lot of times we want Him to provide. Like, we can't be consistent with the small things that He asks, but we want Him to provide things right away. We want Him to trust us with things
Yeah.
that we may not be capable of
Stewarding.
stewarding. And so even consistency is in the Bible, and how what who God trusted with what was determined based on people's consistency of their trust towards God, towards that relationship with God, and like really trusting Him, not just when it was convenient.
Right.
Because we do that too, right? We tend to be consistent when it's convenient. When all of a sudden we have a diagnosis of something, where we're like, oh, I better be consistent with this,
Mm-hmm.
or oh, my partner said they're not happy. I better be consistent with this. I better be nice. Like, no, these, you have to be consistent when you're committed to something or someone. You have to be consistent always. Not that you're going to be perfect, but consistency is important in everything. What?
No, it is.
Yep.
That's all I got. This is coming back from 2 weeks, so.
Yeah, it's tough.
Well, I mean, even with
But
that,
so
go ahead.
no, because I was just gonna get back to like your points. So your points were consistency. I thought you had something else you wanted to talk about.
No, I just wanted to say the importance of family,
Oh, the importance of
the importance of
family.
family,
Yeah.
and then how the second and third kind of tie together. Whereas the analogy of sick clothes
Mm.
and then tying into consistency.
So it's a nice, quick, short video. That's all we got for today after being sick.
Yeah, no, my body's like still like sweating. You sweating?
No, but I'm very tired.
I'm going like back and forth from like hot to cold.
Yeah. I mean, we pushed it today.
Yeah, we're consistently not listening to our body.
It's hard to rest.
Huh?
It's hard for, I think, us to rest. That's why we got sick.
As soon as you feel better, you're like, all right, I'm gonna do everything I needed to do.
Yeah. I mean, anyway.
We both tried to warn each other.
No, my mom was here and she was telling me the whole time, don't do that. Don't do that.
What do you mean?
Don't
Your
push it.
mom too? I was too.
No, but like on that day that I cleaned the room, she was like, just just wash your mattress and then I'll do the rest. I'm like, I'll do it. And then I was feeling it at the end of the night.
Yeah, I was feeling it today after the beach.
Yeah.
But
So
that's
it's
definitely
important to be consistent with rest.
not consistent. I mean,
Yeah, consistent with your routine, right? Not going to bed late.
yeah, but I feel like myself included at times, like we want results, results in relationship. Why you drink your water like that? You put your tongue in there. Did you put
What?
your tongue? Let me see. You put your tongue to stop
Mm-mm.
the water?
No. What do you mean?
I feel like you.
No. It might look like that, but no.
Yeah, you are.
No,
You're like resting your.
I'm like this. Like, what are you talking about? Let me see you drink your water. You drink it like that?
Yeah, I do.
All right. Well, I guess we're both learning something new. That looks weird to me.
Yeah, yours looks weird. I was gonna say something good. Um. Oh, we so often want results.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sometimes the only thing,
Immediate.
huh?
Immediately.
Immediately. Or we want results with not giving full effort, or we want results in maybe the same amount of time, but not having to do it consistency, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's something that so many people want, yet so many people don't like the answer. Just like, oh, dude, what is the secret?
Mm-hmm.
And like you listen to a lot of people who own businesses who have had a like I was talking about it with Ty when he was asking me like how we've managed to have 13 years of marriage.
Mm.
Or, like what are some tips or what are some secrets? It's like one of them was consistency.
Mm.
It's just
Yeah, I was gonna ask. So, like, do you have tips? Because it's hard to be consistent. So, what's your advice? I mean, it's a very
on
big
what
question. Because in general, like, how can you summarize it?
it's hard to put it in perspective of sh- a short period, but I can paint a picture on like having owned the the first business in Massachusetts for 9 years. It's a it's looking at something in hindsight.
Mm-hmm.
When you break down something after doing it for so long and having success in it, our marriage, our business, when I look back at it and I say, okay, what was the one thing that kind of got me to have success in those things? I'll
Mm-hmm.
speak specifically to business.
Mm-hmm.
What is the one thing that allowed me to have success over the course of 9 years, where most businesses in the first five, or 80% of of businesses within the first 5 years fail? And I look back and I say it was just me, week in and week out, day in and day out, doing the same thing, trying to get a little bit better each day, but doing the same things essentially, and doing it for 9 years straight.
So showing up,
Showing up, going above and beyond.
choosing, right? Choosing to show up,
I mean, I had to show. I was the one with the keys.
right?
I mean, it was
But
my
I
business,
feel
but
like that's a good way to summarize with like everything. You just choose to show up no matter how hard it
yep.
is. Even if you don't think that you're getting, like you're saying, you're not getting the results, you continue to do everything you need to do, and then eventually you will see those results.
Only if you're consistent also in
E-
bringing your best self.
exactly.
There's obviously going to be days where it's not, you know, it's not top shelf Jonathan, but damn, I still got to show up. I still got to try
Mhm.
to be better
Mhm.
for the business, or in our case, like for marriage. I got to still
Mhm.
show up and try to be the best version of myself.
Yeah.
Because if I'm striving for, I'm if
Yeah.
I look
Always
at
striving to be better.
if I'm looking 10 years down the line,
Mhm.
do I want to be at the same spot I am at today?
No.
Why would I want
Definitely.
to?
Right.
But if I'm consistently doing the bare minimum, I'm gonna get to 10 years from now and say, doesn't life doesn't seem too different.
Mm.
So if I want to have, and that's the importance of knowing purpose, vision, and values, because
Mm.
when you have those, you're striving towards it. Even though it's not a huge momentous push on every step you take, it's still a little step by step, to get you towards that 10-year goal,
Yeah.
that next mark, that next, you're growing into the version of what you think is the best version of yourself. But you
Yeah.
can't do that being
Well,
half-ass.
but that's also a good tip in having a vision, right? A written vision and goals and your purpose for that
Yeah.
is important. So, what do you want in your marriage? Write it out. What do you want like in your life? Write it out. What do you want in your career? Um, I think it's a good tip because writing it out and really seeing it on paper helps
And it
to be
becomes your
consistent.
yeah, and it becomes your own.
Yeah.
It becomes almost like tattooed in your brain.
Mm.
Whereas like if you ask me what is your purpose, I can tell you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you ask most people, they wouldn't know.
Yeah, it's hard.
And not that I'm saying that, like, I'm not saying that to impress anybody. Like, okay, you know your purpose, big deal. But it is a big deal if you don't know it, because then
Mm-hmm.
you're just walking lost.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting in your mind GPS.
Either that
You're
or you.
getting in your car and you're driving, and then when you show up in a place where you weren't expecting and it's not where you want to be, who's to blame that didn't put the coordinates in the GPS?
Mm.
If you tell yourself this is where I'm striving to go in my marriage, this is where I want our marriage to go, you plug in those coordinates and you take the steps to get to that destination. And if you're not, don't be surprised when your marriage is at a destination that you weren't expecting,
Mm.
because you didn't put the best foot forward. You didn't put the coordinates in. You didn't have a purpose and a plan. visions and values that you weren't willing to compromise on. And so every little detour along the way did just that. It took you on a detour.
Yeah. So I guess the tips are choose to show up.
Sure.
Um, try to maybe improve yourself as you go along. What can I do? What's the small step that I can do to better how I am showing up?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm doing the bare minimum by showing up, but now how can I do little steps to become better and better and better
Yeah.
as I'm showing up? And then also writing it down, creating a vision, a purpose, like goals, write it all down. So I think those are good tips for trying to be consistent.
Yeah.
I think also having accountability, right? Having people around you depending on like what it is you're trying to achieve. Um, I think even if with your relationship, like if you have a couple that you admire, that you trust, it's nice for you to talk to them about what you're going through and how what are steps that you guys can do to improve your relationship, and then having those people who are there praying for you and who are also encouraging, who are looking from the outside in to help you achieve those goals as
Yeah.
well.
Accountability partners.
Yeah, so accountability partners I think is also a good tip.
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
You just setting a bunch of tips today. You want to
Yeah,
sum it up in tips?
I did.
I know.
That was my summary.
4 tips. But that consistency too with our relationship with Jesus.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Consistently putting him first, like Pastor Bernard was talking about today.
Yeah.
Every day.
What was it he said?
And looking back at like my relationship with with God, it's the same thing. That if I look at business, the one thing that's gotten me to my uh, intimate relationship with God is consistency.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't. It's only as strong as it is today because of my consistent steps to get to where it is.
Mm.
Because God chooses to partner with us,
Mm-hmm.
but we're the second part of that choice because we have to say yes to Him.
Yeah.
He's not going to force it on us.
Right.
So for me to be consistent and say yes every day to you, God, that's a every day like I'm partnering with Him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say yes to God, try to say no to me, and move in the direction that I want. And yes, I'm trying to coordinate my steps, but when we're on this journey of faith, in Matthew it talks about he'll determine your steps.
Yeah.
So you may have that, and that's a good detour to take, because that's a detour that's going to take you on a path that's much more purposeful.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
All right.
cool. Back to consistently posting. We'll be back next week for, I think this is like number 12.
Is it
Yeah,
that many? Wow.
it doesn't seem like that many though. All right, well, we'll see you next week.
See ya. Bye bye.
Thanks, Mom. Mom, if you actually comment, might help with the algorithm. So just say like thumbs up or something.